have an understanding of like how we've all arrived to this point. So like to me, the more I've dove kind of into all of this, like the history of it makes more sense to me. I understand why people feel the way they do who are opposed to me, and I also understand, those people who I'm representing, what they're going through. And it at least to me allows me to navigate these conversations a little bit better. I don't mind listening to talking heads who don't agree with me. I don't mind hearing other people's perspectives. Because if they're listening to a false narrative, somebody who's running with a false narrative, there's not much you can do. There's no need to argue with that person.
Right.
Right. Like, and we deal with it on social media. People who are just like, who are completely ignorant or uneducated or who have not been exposed to the truth. Like, they're only going off of what they want. So instead of me getting into a pissing match or a yelling match, I'm like, no, I need to expose you
You're
to some
very
new
good at that. You're very good at just laying back. And one of my biggest problems is I want to fucking get in that pitching match all the time. So I've tried to get out. With you and Drew, you guys were able to get that understanding conversationally, I assume, at some point.
Yeah. And it took a few conversations, especially because of, I think, how, hurt I felt like I was and people were because of Drew's comments, but also how broken up Drew was. Like, he was hurt because he couldn't understand it at first.
Yeah.
And I think once he could, because that's the thing, right? Like, man, I give so much to Drew gives so much to charity.
Yes.
Especially like Black and brown communities, right? Cutting checks and doing all these things. And that's why I said philanthropy is not necessarily enough. It's understanding, the real experiences of people in this country and really knowing that pain and empathizing with it. So that way it's not necessarily your job to give up everything you have and help everybody else, but to really look, now you can look for opportunities to help, in what they're doing and what they're going through.
Yeah.
Meet people where they are, understand their circumstances, and then use the things that naturally come to you, the spaces that you're naturally in to try to bring them into those rooms. And I think, but to do that takes like, conversation, and that can't happen on social media. It can't happen, in these small tickers on ESPN and all that. It's got to happen with real people in safe spaces. But also, as a Black person, I'm like, I'm not going to wait for white people to change their minds to live what I believe should be, the American way. And so I'm also now focused on how do we create these things for ourselves as we still try to, convince everybody else that.
Right, which is two jobs you don't deserve to have. Let's just say that.
Well, one is a necessity though.
Yeah,
because I got kids, right?
Yes.
Like, so it's my job, and I got a family, and like, yes, I play football and I've made a life of myself, but I go home and like my family deals with the same stuff everybody else is dealing with. My community is the same stuff. And
you deal with the same stuff. You deal with the same stuff. The thing that drives me the craziest is these guys got millions of dollars, so how could they complain? When you get pulled over by the police, you probably still have the same feeling that everybody else has that had the same color skin as you. I mean, it's just I didn't have that growing up. I don't have that. My kids don't have that. Your kids go to school, they got to deal with different things that my kids aren't going to have to deal with, and money doesn't make that go away.
No, I mean it doesn't. It doesn't. But to me, it's bigger. It's not just like police, right?
No, I'm just throwing that out as one.
Right. Yeah, and but I want to give it enough. I want to give it, it's due recognition that it's not just the police. It's not just, poverty. It's everything from school system. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm just like, I don't understand how we have standardized testing for, children, but don't have standardized education.
Right.
Like our entire system is built, or if I were a designer and I built our system, it's not designed for everybody to win,
right?
Or for everybody to even have a real shot at success. And I think that's what everybody wants when they come here. Everybody wants as an American is just the shot, a legitimate chance at living, like making a life for yourself. And oftentimes, we've snatched that opportunity from people. We've given more opportunity to other folks. And and have all, and then when the natural kind of discord comes, then we want to say, no, guys, we're all one nation and we're together. But it's really hard to do that. And I think the last year is really, or last few years really showcased that we can't continue to sweep things under the rug, and cover it with the American flag and think that that we're going to have peace or have an understanding as a country. That's just not how things work. And the more and more this new generation goes into our history books and learns about why we are here at this place, I think the more frustrated we'll grow. And, so I don't, it's hard for me to see us moving closer to the goal until we move closer to the truth.